I was looking to do something different than just record a CD, and I was lucky enough to get a factory grant to work on a DVD, and I thought that would be nice to be able to present the music visually and also in a live context, because I really feel that that's where the essence of jazz comes out. You know, it's good to do a studio album because you have control and you can do many takes, but it's something about that thing where you're on stage and it's only the one shot, and if someone makes a mistake, well, you just keep going and you work even harder to get that back and go over the top, you know, to make it even better. So there's that intensity and that feeling of being in the moment that you can really only capture in a live context, as much as you try and do it in the studio, and we're getting better at doing that these days. As the more experienced I get at it, the better you and more comfortable you feel in the studio. But live really is where it comes together, and it's great to have it visually represented as well, because you see the passion that we bring to the music, the dynamic and the interplay between the musicians in a jazz context is really interesting, I think, for people to check out, because we're really jumping off the cliff together and building the parachute on the way down, as I like to say, and we're improvising about 90% of it, even though it is usually based on some kind of form. 90% of what's going on is improvisation, so it's nice to see that process happening, because it's an exciting process. It's something that all of us do every day, is we improvise constantly within a framework, but we just happen to be doing it on stage and feel very comfortable doing it. I was fortunate enough to get a combination of people that I'd played with before and some new people when I was putting the band together for the DVD. And one of my very favorite people is Dave Restivo, a fantastic piano player, someone that I've worked with many times before. He was on my first album and my third album, and he's just got amazing chops. He's a great guy, and he really just brings such a good attitude to things. You know, you just put the music in front of him, and away he goes. You know, and he'll play exactly what you heard in your head, and that's well, better than that even. So that's why I love him so much. And I was fortunate enough to also have Artie Roth, who is an amazing bass player and someone I've worked with once again on my first and third albums. And once again, a very positive spirit, takes to things immediately and has great suggestions, and a wonderful player. And then the sort of the third pillar of people that I've played with before who came back for this project is Eric St-Laurent. And he's a guitar player who somebody handed a guitar to when he was 8 or 9 years old, and it feels like he sat in his room for 12 hours a day practicing until he was 18. Because his technique is unbelievable, but what's better is, I think, his musicianship and his understanding of how to use that technique in a positive way. There's some folks who are, you know, fantastic technically, but they want to show you that at all times. And Eric isn't like that at all. He really serves the music and serves the song and breaks out into these amazing solos that blow you away. But it's such a beautiful combination. I'm really fortunate to have him part of the project. Then there's Larnell, an amazing drummer. He's only 25, if you can believe it. And for a 25-year-old to really, you know, have that command of the instrument and have that confidence and command of the band. Like, he drives the band in certain ways. And I never thought once, actually, to tell him to do anything different, you know, when we're rehearsing or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I wanted. The last piece of the puzzle is Ron Westray, who's a fantastic trombone player, who, as it happens, came to York University to be the Oscar Peterson Jazz Chair this year. And he sat in with Tyler Urema at the Reservoir Lounge, and I knew immediately he was someone I wanted to play with. He's played with Wynton Marsalis and been part of the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, and he's a great composer in his own right, and he, once again, brings a really great positive attitude and amazing technique. And just, you know, really fun to be around, and got a real connection to jazz and jazz history, so I was really fortunate to get him as well. It felt great this time. It felt like everything was a first take. In the studio, usually those first takes are the things that we really go for, because they're that glimpse into the soul, they're that energy, and you're not thinking about things too much. And that's what's really important as an artist, I think, is to just let it flow. And I feel like we did that this time. It's very rare for me to sit down and go, I'm going to compose today. It's more like, oh my God, I have to get this idea down because it's rushing through me, and if I don't get it, it's going to evaporate. And the floodgates will open, and I'll be singing a melody all the way home as I'm riding my bike because I don't want to lose it, you know, and then I get home and record it, or I just latch onto things. I think one thing that I learned was to not be afraid of things that sound too simple and not complicated enough or educated enough. Because I think at the jazz world, and maybe this is true with other musics and arts as well, you've got that inspector in the back of your mind going, well, that's not very hip. I mean, that's just a simple little song. That couldn't possibly be any good. And you really have to turn that part of your mind off. I don't think I'll ever put the saxophone down because I have no pension plan at all. Okay, I have a slight one. But, you know, besides that, I love it. It's not like work, you know, and it's like when I go to a gig, it's really the highlight of my day. I get to go to a club, have a few drinks, play some music, hang out with people I like to hang out with, usually, you know, my musical friends. So it hardly feels like work going to work, and that's why one of the reasons I feel so fortunate to have chosen this career path, because it's really something I love to do, and I know there's lots of people out there who are lucky enough to have chosen something that they love to do. And when you're growing up, you often go for the safe thing, you know, like, well, if I do this, you know, it'll provide a steady income and then I can do what I like to do on the side. And I think these days that's becoming less and less the case anyway, so that you should really, you know, try and do what you really like to do, because then going to work will never seem like a chore. It really isn't for me, unless I've been doing it too much, and, you know, physically you can get tired, but mentally, and I usually have a great time, you know. It's hard on my liver a little bit, but it's okay. I'm so glad I chose this career path.